You eat breakfast. Maybe something reasonable, eggs, toast, a piece of fruit. By 11 in the morning, your stomach is already uncomfortable. Not painful exactly, just bloated, tight, like something is sitting in there that should have moved by now. You get to the afternoon, and that familiar heaviness settles in. Your energy drops. Your thinking gets foggy. You feel irritable in a way you cannot quite explain. Your skin has been breaking out more than it used to, even though nothing in your life has obviously changed. You are sleeping enough hours but waking up tired. And you have started to notice that certain foods that never used to bother you, a handful of nuts, a cup of coffee, a meal you have eaten 100 times, now leave you feeling off in a way you cannot predict. If any part of that sounds like your daily life, I need you to understand something important right now. These are not separate, unrelated problems. They are not just stress. They are not just aging. They are not things you have to simply accept and live with. They are signals, and they are all coming from the same place, your gut. More specifically, they are coming from an imbalance inside your gut that is being driven, in large part, by the absence of one category of food that modern diets have almost completely eliminated. A food that your gut absolutely cannot function without. And there is a very high chance that no matter how carefully you think you eat, you are not getting nearly enough of it. Today I am going to show you exactly what that food is, why its disappearance from our plates has become one of the most significant and most overlooked drivers of chronic illness, and precisely what you can do starting today to bring it back. Because when you understand what is actually happening inside your gut, at the level of the trillions of microorganisms that live there, and run almost every system in your body, you will never look at your plate the same way again. My name is Dr. Sarah Monroe. I spent over 12 years in internal medicine, and in that time I watched patients come in with complaints that seemed unrelated on the surface: fatigue, skin issues, mood disorders, digestive discomfort, recurring infections, difficulty losing weight, and again. When we looked at the full picture, the gut was at the center of it. The research in this area has exploded over the last decade, and what we now understand about the relationship between what you eat and how your entire body functions is genuinely extraordinary. So let us get into it. Before I tell you what the missing food is, I need to explain what is living inside you. Because until you understand this, the solution will not make complete sense. Inside your gut right now, primarily in your large intestine, there are approximately 38 trillion microorganisms, bacteria, fungi, viruses, and other microbes living together in a complex, interdependent ecosystem that scientists call the gut microbiome. This is not a metaphor. This is a living community inside your body that outnumbers your own human cells. And this community does not just help you digest food. It does far more than that. Your gut microbiome produces neurotransmitters, around 90% of your body's serotonin. The chemical most directly associated with mood, calm, and emotional stability is produced in your gut, not your brain. Your gut microbiome trains and regulates your immune system. Roughly 70% of your immune cells live in the tissue surrounding your gut, and they communicate constantly with the microbes inside it. Your gut microbiome influences your metabolism, how efficiently you extract energy from food, how your body stores fat, how your blood sugar responds to meals. It influences your skin through a pathway scientists now call the gut-skin axis. It influences your brain through a direct communication highway called the vagus nerve in a relationship researchers call the gut-brain axis. It influences your hormones, your sleep quality, your inflammatory state, and your long-term risk of conditions ranging from depression to autoimmune disease to cardiovascular disease. This is not fringe science. This is published in Nature and Cell and The Lancet in the New England Journal of Medicine. The gut microbiome is now one of the most actively researched areas in all of medicine, and what has become abundantly clear is this: when the microbiome is healthy, diverse, and well-fed, the body has a remarkable capacity to regulate itself. And when it is depleted, imbalanced, or starving, things begin to go wrong quietly, gradually, in ways that feel frustratingly vague and difficult to trace back to their source. And right now, for the majority of people eating a modern diet, the microbiome is starving, not from a lack of calories, from a lack of the one specific thing it needs to survive and thrive. And that is the food we need to talk about, the food that is missing from your diet. The food that your gut microbiome cannot function without is dietary fiber. But before you think you already know this, I need you to stay with me, because this is not the fiber conversation you have heard before. This is not about eating more bran flakes or taking a fiber supplement. What the research now shows is that it is not just any fiber that matters. It is the diversity, the variety, the specific types of fiber from whole plant foods that feed different species of bacteria in your gut. And it is this diversity that the modern diet has almost completely destroyed. Here's what is actually happening. Different species of bacteria in your gut feed on different types of fiber. Lactobacillus bacteria, associated with immune regulation and mood, Feed on specific fibers found in garlic, onions, and leeks. Bifidobacterium, linked to reduced inflammation and improved gut lining integrity. Feed on fibers in bananas, asparagus, and chicory root. Faecalibacterium prosonate, one of the most important anti-inflammatory bacteria in the human gut. Feeds on fibers from legumes and whole grains. Akkermansia muciniphila, which protects the gut lining and is associated with lower rates of obesity and metabolic disease. Feeds on polyphenol-rich plant foods like berries, dark chocolate, and green tea. Each species has its own nutritional needs, and when you do not eat the plant foods that feed them, those species decline. They weaken. Some disappear entirely, and when they disappear, the functions they were performing, the serotonin production, the immune regulation, the anti-inflammatory signaling, the gut lining maintenance, those functions decline with them. This is how a diet that seems reasonably fine on the surface quietly hollows out your health from the inside over months and years. A landmark study from Stanford University published in the journal Cell found that a diet high in diverse fermented and fiber-rich plant foods significantly increased microbiome diversity and decreased markers of inflammation in just 10 weeks. 10 weeks? That is how quickly your gut can begin to shift when you feed it correctly. And on the other side, research from the University of Alberta showed that a low-fiber diet caused measurable changes in gut microbiome composition within just 3 to 4 days. 3 to 4 days of low-fiber intake was enough to begin depleting key bacterial species. That is how sensitive this system is, and that is how consequential every meal is. Now I want to ask you to think about what you actually ate in the last 48 hours. Not to judge it, simply to see it clearly. How many different plant foods were on your plate? Not how much of one vegetable, but how many different kinds across your meals? 1 or 2? Maybe 3. The research suggests that people eating a diverse, gut-supporting diet consume 30 or more different plant foods per week. 30. Most people in the developed world are eating fewer than 10. Some are eating fewer than 5. And each plant food you remove from your diet removes the bacterial species that depended on it and the health functions that species was performing. This is a real reason why so many people eat what they believe is a healthy diet and still feel unwell. It is not that they are eating the wrong things. It is that they have unknowingly stripped away the diversity that their gut microbiome needs to do its job. The bloating is not random. The afternoon fog is not just tiredness. The skin flare-ups are not just hormones. The anxiety that seems to have no clear cause is not just stress. These are symptoms of a gut ecosystem in distress, and they respond, often remarkably quickly, when you begin to restore what was missing. So what does that actually look like in practice? Because this is where most health content falls short. It tells you what is wrong and leaves you with a vague instruction to eat more fiber. That is not enough, let me be specific. The goal is 30 different plant foods per week. That sounds like a lot, but the definition of a plant food here is broader than most people realize. Every different vegetable counts as 1. Every different fruit counts as 1. Every different whole grain counts as 1. Every different legume, chickpeas, lentils, black beans, kidney beans, counts as 1. Every different nut and seed counts as 1. And herbs and spices count too, which means a single meal can contain 5 or 6 plant points without any effort at all if you are cooking with variety in mind. Start with what is already on your plate, and add 1 different plant food to each meal. Not a dramatic overhaul, just 1 addition. If you are making eggs in the morning, add a handful of spinach one day and slice mushrooms the next, rather than the same vegetable every day. If you are making a salad, use 3 different types of leaves instead of 1. If you are having rice, swap it for a mix of brown rice, quinoa, and lentils half the time. Every different plant is a different type of fiber, feeding a different community of bacteria, supporting a different function in your body. The most powerful prebiotic foods, the ones that feed the widest variety of beneficial bacteria, are garlic, onions, and leeks, which contain a fiber called inulin that is one of the most effective bacterial growth promoters known to science. Jerusalem artichokes, which are extraordinarily rich in prebiotic fiber. Asparagus, which feeds bifidobacterium specifically. Unripe or slightly green bananas, which contain resistant starch, a type of fiber that passes undigested to the large intestine, where it feeds bacteria directly. Cooked and then cooled rice or potatoes, which also develop resistant starch during the cooling process. Legumes of all kinds, and dark leafy greens, which contain a specific sugar molecule called sulfoquinovose that feeds a bacterial species called Bacteroides thetoteomicron, one of the key regulators of gut lining health. Alongside increasing fiber variety, there is one more thing the research consistently supports, and that is adding fermented foods to your daily diet. Fermented foods, plain unsweetened yogurt, kefir, sauerkraut, kimchi, miso, and kombucha, directly introduce live beneficial bacteria into your gut, while simultaneously providing the short-chain fatty acids that feed your gut lining cells. The Stanford study I mentioned earlier found that the fermented food group showed significantly greater microbiome improvements than even the high-fiber group alone. Combining both diverse fiber and daily fermented foods produced the most dramatic results. 1 cup of plain kefir in the morning, a tablespoon of sauerkraut alongside your lunch, a bowl of plain yogurt with a variety of berries and seeds in the evening. These are not complicated interventions. They are small, consistent daily additions that compound over time into a genuinely transformed gut ecosystem. Now, I want to address something important, because many people who start increasing their fiber intake experience more bloating, not less, in the first week or two. And this is real, and it is normal, and it is not a sign that fiber is wrong for you. It is a sign that your gut microbiome has been depleted for a long time, and the bacteria that would normally process fiber efficiently are not yet present in sufficient numbers to handle the increase smoothly. This is called the adaptation phase. It pauses. Start low, increase slowly. Add 1 new plant food every few days rather than overhauling your entire diet overnight. Drink more water alongside the increased fiber, as fiber absorbs water in your gut and needs adequate hydration to move through properly. And give it for just 6 weeks before you judge the results, because the microbiome takes time to rebuild. But when it does, the shift in how you feel is often significant enough to notice clearly. Now let me bring this back to where we started. That bloating after breakfast, that afternoon fog, the skin that does not quite clear, the mood that dips for no obvious reason, the fatigue that sleep does not seem to fix. These are not mysteries. They are not inevitable. They are not your body failing you. They are your gut microbiome sending signals that it is depleted and needs something you have stopped giving it. And what it needs is not expensive. It is not a protocol. It is not a supplement stack. It is food. Diverse, varied, plant-based fiber. The food that has been disappearing from modern plates for decades. The food that your gut was designed to run on. 30 plant foods per week. Start today. Add 1 fermented food daily. Drink enough water. Give it 6 weeks and pay attention, because your body will tell you clearly when its gut is finally getting what it has been missing. I want to hear from you in the comments right now. Tell me which symptom resonated most with you today. The bloating, the brain fog, the fatigue, the skin, the mood, because your answer is going to shape the next video I make. And I want to make sure it speaks directly to what you need most. Every comment matters, and I read all of them. If this video helped you understand something that no one had explained clearly before, please share it with one person in your life who has been dealing with these symptoms and not getting answers. That one share could genuinely change how they feel every single day. And if you are not subscribed yet, please do that now. This channel exists to give you honest, science-based, practical health information that you can actually use, and there is much more coming that you will not want to miss. I am Dr. Sarah Monroe. Your gut has been waiting for this. Now you know what to give it.